Committee files are kept for 5 years after they're dissolved before they're destroyed. So people can still go back and look. All of our committee paperwork, all the campaign finance statements are all online. So anybody can go and look up and pull up your reports and see who donated to your campaign, where you spent your money, that kind of stuff. So, and it goes back to about 08. So everybody who filed in 2008 to current, and that's all current right now. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, Mr. Riley.
Kim, if you choose to take the waiver, the $1,000 waiver, you don't expect to do the 1,000, but then at some point you do hit it. What kind of time frame do you have in order to say, "Oops, we're over the 1,000"?
Once you hit the $1,000 waiver, the waivers. I'm sorry. Once you hit the $1,000 threshold, your waiver's void, and you have to go with the dates and deadlines like the other committees that don't have the waiver. So if there's a close of books deadline coming up on July 22nd, and you hit the $1,000 on July 10th, then you close your books on the 22nd and file your report on the 27th.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have to come down there and tell you.
No, it's all kind of an honor system, I guess.
Do you have to amend your campaign to your statement?
It wouldn't be necessary to amend your statement, because once you filed a report, we would know that you had gone over the threshold, and we would remove the waiver status from your committee. I'm sorry, the girl in the back, she's had her hand up about 4 times.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said that precinct delegates don't have to file for a committee. Does that prevent them from receiving contributions?
It does not, but if they're going to, then they probably should file a statement of organization for candidate committee. Once, I think that there might be a threshold, a contribution threshold of $500. I think that's also true for ballot question committees and stuff too. You're welcome. Mr. Watson?
Yes, I was going to ask, in this new financial aid, they got things like prepaid cards. If you use petty cash, could you use those?
Sure. Yeah. Yep. But your petty cash can't be more than like $50, something like that. So make sure that you read the manual and follow all the rules. Okay. Because we can stand here and give you all this information, but it's still your responsibility to make sure you're doing everything properly. And the forms, that are in your book. Oh, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so just let me back up and go back to this questions on campaign finance. Go a little bit further. Absolutely.
Having run for the 92nd House seat, I would recommend anybody that is thinking about running, if you know you're going to go over that $1,000 limit, to get yourself a treasurer. All I have to say is get yourself a treasurer. Have a friend that's a CPA. If you don't have one, make one. The reason being is, at least the software that I was using when I ran, that is offered by the state, is not what I would call really user-friendly, first. And second of all, it's what I would describe as clunky and awkward to use. And if you are running for an office, you need to devote your time to running for an office. Taking your time to put stuff into a computer or keep track of your money isn't a wise use of your time.
Thank you for that input.
I do have a question. I want to know, is part of Fruitland Fruitport Township in Ottawa County?
No. Township. There's
oh, I'm sorry. School districts. Yeah, one of their school districts.
600 and some people vote in Grand Haven.
Oh, we have got so many school district splits,
Well,
on every
why I brought
board
it up,
county.
and it doesn't have to do with finance, but if they're going out getting petitions, having people sign petitions, if they're living in Ottawa County but they vote in Fruitport.
The thing, okay, let's cover that when we get to petitions. Okay. Just don't let me forget to talk about that. Mr. Riley?
Just another question that Steve's comments brought up. Do you have to, at the local level, or not the state level, but the local level here, do you have to use the computer entry, or can you just fill out paper and submit the
You
paper?
can absolutely just fill out paper
Okay.
and submit it, yeah. Yeah, and you can make as many, you know, I've seen it where people will copy or fill out a cover page without dates, and then they'll copy it and they'll use that cover page over and over because the information doesn't change on the cover except the report that they're filing and the dates. So, and those forms again are available online at the Secretary of State's website, and you can print as many as you need. Ready to move on? Okay, because we can go back and forth, back and forth. Sign ordinances, and this is a biggie because every city and township in the county has their own rules about signs and what size the sign can be and how long before the election it can go up and how soon after the election it needs to come down. So this is included in everybody's packet. If you're running for a township office or a city office, then you only need to be concerned with your city or township. But if you're running for a county commission district or a county-wide office, then you'll want to pay close attention to all these requirements. And of course, you always want to ask the property owners before putting signs out. Okay, so this publication, again, is on our website, and it can be linked through you know, the candidate packet portion of our website, too. So there's all the cities. Like Norton Shores got really, had a lot of fun with theirs. These stones. This is, oh, I'm sorry, Tracy.
I just want to mention that I know, like in Dalton, if you wanted to just put it out a week early, you know, it'll come down and you can probably find it at the township hall. So I know
Okay, so if signs disappear,
yeah,
you might check with the city or township clerk. Because there are some, you know, municipalities that their public works people will pull signs out if they're, you know, not properly placed.
The city of Whitehall, you go to the police. I have.
And the city of Muskegon called me and said, if you don't get it out by this evening, we will have it at. So I got it out before they had it at the next place they were moving it to.
And sometimes they might cause, you know, site problems
That's
for
what my
drivers
issue
and
was.
stuff like that. So that's why this, you know, another reason the city might pull it. This next form, also available on our website, is a qualified voter file data request form. The qualified voter file is a state-supported database that manages all the voter registration information and election information for the state. And it's what we use at the county and at the township and the cities to input, you know, voters, to update voter history. So when you go and vote, it ends up in here so that, you know, everybody can find out that you voted. You could use this form if you were interested in using it to request data from a specific election. You can request information on all registered voters, or just persons that voted by absentee in a certain election, or everybody that voted, or whatever. The best format, and pretty much the only format I've ever distributed this information in, is electronic. I can email it to you, zip up the file and email it, or I can put it in a disk free to pick up. It's $10 for each file. So if I do the whole county, I split it up in between the 91st and 92nd district, and it's $20 instead of $10 because it's 2 files.
Is that an Excel format?
It is, yep. It starts out as a comma separated value file, and you can open it in Excel. You can take out fields that you won't use. You can merge it into a Word document letter, and all kinds of possibilities. And I usually, you know, can get this done in just within a you know, a couple hours notice or something. But I do ask for a couple days. Things are going to get busier and busier. Like Nancy mentioned, all of the
That means
county.
I may cancel her vacation if she's saying to do a couple hours.
She mentioned that there, you know, we've changed from 11 to 9 commission districts. A lot of the cities redraw their precinct lines. School districts are, you know, now where there were 2 precincts in Norton Shores with Grand Haven voters, now there's 1, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of work to do as far as restructuring our database for ballot program and stuff.
We also have an election coming up on May 8th.
Yes.
So don't be confused on May 8th, because there are some elections in the county on May 8th that you're be busy with.
Yes, there are.
It's 4 times a year.
Yes.
So you can pull the data for each township, then we don't need to go separate?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. But if you're running for a township office, I do encourage you to go to your township or city clerk, because they can provide that information to you as well. And I can't tell you what their fees are. Sometimes they're more, sometimes they're less, probably. I'm going to kind of get into the statement of organization here. This is the document that needs to be filed by any candidate, unless it's a precinct delegate or candidate for school board with a student population of under 2,400. Let's see if I got that right. Yeah. Okay. It says, as soon as an individual becomes a candidate, they have 10 days to form their candidate committee. And then they have another 10 days to file their statement of organization. Okay, so they become a candidate. Oh, I'm sorry, I flipped scripts on you, didn't I? Front cover. Front cover, statement of organization, sorry.
Front cover.
That's the first document there.
Statement of organization, original or amended.
It's in the front cover, yeah. I'm sorry. Everybody with me? Okay. So a person becomes a candidate under the Campaign Finance Act as soon as they file their nominating petitions or filing fee and their affidavit of candidacy or identity. They receive a contribution or make an expenditure to further their nomination or election, or they allow somebody else to receive a contribution or make an expenditure to further their nomination or election. So that's when you become a candidate. Most times it's when you file your affidavit of identity and your petitions or your filing fee. The statement of organization, thank you so much, Carl, may not be filed with the township, city, or village clerk. It has to come to the county. Okay, you don't file it with the township clerk to send to the county clerk. It has to be filed with the county clerk. And you don't have to come in person to do it. You can fill it out and mail it in. I'll assign a committee number and send a copy back to you. Okay, so if it's not convenient for you to come to our office, there is always that option. And of course, this form is available online, so you can print it at home, fill it out, send it in. And we're going to talk about the fields that are required on this form. I'm going to go see the instructions for it are on the second page, they're on the back. But I'm just going to go up here and just talk about it line by line. The committee ID number is assigned by our office, so don't worry about having to fill that in. It wants to know, is this an original or is this an amended? So if it's your first time running, it's an original. If it's not your first time running, but you're not holding a seat, it's an original because your last committee was dissolved, so you're starting over. If you're an incumbent and you make any changes to your committee information, it's an amended. If you file an amended statement of organization, you have to complete items 1, 3, and 14, as well as whatever else is being amended. Number 1 is the ID number, which you would have from your original. Number 3 is the name of your committee, which would also be on your form. And number 14 is the verification, that's where you sign. And then whatever other item that you're amending. So you list those items and the effective date if you're amending your statement of organization. The committee name has to include the candidate's full name. Some committee names can get kind of long, and that might be hard to fit on all that printed material. You might have 4 lines of, committee to elect Joe Smith for Muskegon Public Schools School Board. That doesn't sound like that much, but it's long. A lot of people just leave it to their name, because if they decide to run for a different office, then they don't have to file a new statement of organization, unless they're running for a smaller district. If you're running for a bigger district, then you can use the same committee, and you just amend the office.
Could you give an example of a short name, a committee name?
Committee to elect Jim Riley.
That would be sufficient.
In committee to elect, you can abbreviate CTE.
Oh, because that's important when people write checks.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Number 4, the candidate's full name, last, first, middle. That's pretty straightforward. The political party, so if you're running as a Republican or a Democrat, that needs to be indicated on the form if it's a partisan office. If you're running for a partisan office as a nonpartisan candidate, then the political party part isn't applicable. Or if you're running for a nonpartisan office, you just put NA. County of residence, easy. And then it lists here all of the offices that you could run for, except it doesn't list any local offices. So under local or other, please specify, just put the name of the office you're running for. Fruitland Township Trustee, Muskegon County Commissioner, District 8. It gives you a line to put the district number. The committee formation date is important because remember, you have to form your committee within 10 days of becoming a candidate. Okay? You have to file your statement of organization within 10 days of forming your committee.
Can you do them all on the same day?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. It's the best, easiest way to do it. Committee phone number. Committee fax number, that's not needed. If you don't want to put a fax number, you don't have a fax number, that's okay. You don't have to put an email address, but you may. But remember, this information is available publicly, but you do have to put a phone number because I have to be able to reach you. The website, if you have one, and number 7, the mailing address for the committee. That can be a P.O. box. So if you're using a P.O. box for your committee, you can put that there. But the street address for the committee cannot. Those can be the same address, of course, but the street address of the committee can't be a P.O. box. Your treasurer's name and address, go there. If you're your own treasurer, put your name down again. Okay. And phone number. I know it seems a little bit redundant sometimes filling these forms out, same information over and over, but that's what's required. So you do not have to list a designated record keeper. That's for state offices or required for state offices. The reporting waiver. This is the box we've talked about so much already, but the big X right there is a beautiful thing if you don't want to have late filing fees, and you keep your contributions and expenditures under $1,000. A lot of times I hear, well, I really don't have a committee, I'm not going to raise any money, I'm not going to spend any money, why do I have to list a bank, or do I have to list a bank? And the answer is you do. You need to list the name of the place. If somebody hands you a check for $500, says, I really want you to go buy some signs, and I want to give this to your committee to do that, throw it in the bank, where are you going to put it, and what's the branch location? And then you can just keep going down, down, down. This number 12 is for gubernatorial candidates. 13 is for electric filing. So you go down to 14, the verification and the candidate signs. And if they have somebody other than themselves as a treasurer, then that person's signature is also required. If you're acting as your own treasurer, then you just sign it and date it. And that's it, and that's that. Any questions on the statement of organization? Did we kind of go through it? And we're good, okay.
I do have one question.
What's that?
You said you could put CTE. Can you put that on your signs too?
Mm-hmm.
So you can.
Yep. The affidavit of identity. This is what gets your name on the ballot. If you don't file one of these, your name doesn't get on the ballot. Even if you do file petitions. You have to file petitions and an affidavit. You have to file an affidavit and a fee. Now listen, township offices, you can't pay a fee for. You have to file petitions for township office. You have to file petitions for city office. School board office, you can pay a fee. Community college trustee, you can pay a fee. But MCC and school board, that fee is non-refundable. Now, if you pay a fee for a partisan office, the top 2 vote getters in the primary in each party get their money back. Anybody else, if they come in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and they pay the fee, well, we keep that money. That's my bonus. I'm just kidding. I wish. Everybody pay with a fee, don't file petitions. I'm just kidding. Oh, Jim, you're taping this. Jeez.
Yep. Just getting the time on that.
Moving on.
Don't worry, he'll take it out of context.
Candidate identification, that's pretty straightforward. The candidate's last name, first name, middle birthday, you know, this is a public record too, so yep, you're running for a public office, all your information is out there for everybody to see. And they want to know if you've changed your name within the last 10 years for a reason other than marriage, yes or no. And if you have, then there's some things that we have to do with your name on the ballot, and put your former name on there along with your current name. I haven't had to do that in 7 years, so I'm not really sure how that would work out, but I think it'd be fine. I want you to enter your former name, okay? But this right here, this is a biggie. How do you want your name to appear in the ballot? I'm going to use Joe Bush. He goes by Joe Bush. I bet his first name's Joseph, but he can use Joe, okay? He doesn't have to use Joseph. I hate to pick on this person, but, well, I have a good example. What's her name? Wieringo, Sue Wieringo, city commissioner for City of Muskegon. Not anymore, but she was for a long time. Is she still there? Okay, my bad. Sorry. Well, her legal name was not Sue. So she had to have it legally changed in order to have her name on the ballot as Sue Wieringo. So you can't use titles. No doctor, no Mr., no titles or nicknames. You know, James Woods might be known as Buddy, but he can't put that on the ballot. His name is James or Jim. You can use a common derivative of your first or middle name. You can use a middle name and a first initial. You can do those kinds of things, but no nicknames or titles. Okay? Residence address. This is where I have the most trouble, is people don't fill this in all the way. They put their, 914 Easy Street. Okay, that's great, and probably your township clerk knows that that's in Whitehall Township, but when it comes to me, and I can put it in, I don't. But anyway, just if you fill out the whole mailing address, it asks for residence address, street, city, and zip code. So just fill it in completely. And the mailing address, if you want things mailed to a different address, you should fill in the mailing address. Phone number, city or township of. This wants to know where you're registered. Where do you live? In the city or the township of what? And the precinct number. Only the City of Norton Shores and City of Muskegon have wards, but all of the townships and cities have precincts. So everybody has a precinct number. And you should, if your city or township is one that has moved some precinct lines around, make sure that you have the right precinct number. And you will be getting new voter ID cards that will tell you what your precinct is.
But it may not be that you receive them by the deadline for filing on May 15th.
Right. Yeah, you might not.
So you may
So
have
check with the clerk, check with the local clerk to see what your precinct number is. County of Muskegon, and how long have you been a resident, how long have you been a resident of Michigan, are you a citizen, and are you a registered and qualified elector? In order to be a qualified elector, you need to be registered for 30 days. Okay. The office, the primary election day we gave you is August 7th, and the general election date is November 6th. The name of the office that you're seeking goes here. And the district, if it has a district, goes here. It could be 91st or 92nd, or any of the 9 commission districts. Those numbers would go there. If it's a partisan office, which all the township and county offices are, then put the party. The term of office, regular term, most of these are. I think I say a lot. Regular term, and then don't put in an expiration date. That's only for partial terms. Okay? So if it's a partial term, you only use, it's a partial term expiring December 31, 2014. Judicial candidates need to check whether it's an incumbent position, a non-incumbent position, or a new judgeship. Under the filer's acknowledgement, once in a while, I might see a certificate of party nomination from I think we have one from the U.S. Taxpayers Party who runs as a trustee in Holton Township. But typically it's going to be nominating or qualifying petitions. Usually nominating petitions are filed, or the filing fee is paid, and the filing fee can only be paid for county and state level offices. Townships have to file petitions. And you need to indicate whether you want those petitions returned to you the following January or destroyed. If you file petitions, you need to put the number of signatures that you're filing on this line. Any questions on that part, Mr. Marco?
Just a general comment. Nancy probably doesn't really want me to say this, but if you can't get 50 or 100 signatures on a petition, I don't know why you're running. In other words, going out and getting the signatures is your first line for campaigning, in my opinion, in my Democratic Party hat. If you want to make the additional donation to the county will be greatly appreciated.
Yes, we will. Yeah, yes.
One more question. On my petition, if I have my formal name written on a number of petitions, but I fill out my affidavit with the diminutive, do I have an issue?
No.
Okay. So make sure my petitions are not disallowed.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And then when you file, your affidavit needs to be signed in front of a notary. Okay, you're supposed to read this and say, by signing this affidavit, that you swear or affirm that the facts provided are true, and you further swear or affirm that the facts contained in the statement set forth below are true, and that you are in compliance with all the campaign finance laws, and reports are filed and everything's up to date. So then you sign and have your signature notarized. Now this portion right here, a lot of times I see the notary's name here, and this subscribed and sworn to by. Well, that is sworn to by the candidate, and the candidate's name needs to go there. So if they start filling their name in, they say, oh no, you put my name there as the candidate. Okay.
Do you have a notary in the clerk's office?
There's a notary in every clerk's office. Okay. All right. This is the nominating petition for a county-wide office. I'm going to skip past that because we've only got 10 minutes left about. I don't know where that time went.
One thing that I do think is important on petitions is earlier this month of March.
Let me tell them where to find a petition first. I did put a petition in the front cover flap, and the inside, it's behind everything else. Okay.
I already had disqualified a petition that was brought in. In fact, it exceeded the number of the minimum that was required, but listen carefully, because this person had signed at the bottom and dated it, and when I went up to the date of the signatures, several of them were disqualified. Now, he did it early enough that he could go back out and get some more, but if you're turning it in just before a deadline, you may not have time to go out and get some more, so be very, very careful. He did go out the next day, brought them back in, and he was okay, but this is why I said be sure you listen carefully. Since the Democratic Party chair says you need to go out and get signatures.
Yeah, you need to get signatures. So if you're running for county commissioner or for a township office, you could be using this form, and county-wide candidates could use this form, but they can also use the county-wide form. The big difference there, I'll just show you real quick, scroll back up, is that on the county-wide form, it says you can pick the city or township and then fill that in. And on the city township form, those petitions can only be signed by people residing in a specific city or township. So if you're running for a county commission seat and you have precincts or coverage in 3 different cities or townships, then you need at least 3 different sheets. So if you're in Norton Shores, City of Muskegon, and City of Muskegon Heights, then you have to have only signatures from one of those cities on this form. And when you fill it out at the top, you'll cross out one. You'll cross out city or you'll cross out township. You'll cross out the one that it's not, okay? Leaving the other one there, so it's like township of Muskegon. So you would cross out city. County, everybody knows we're in Muskegon County. And your name, the name of the candidate, and then your address. And it says rural, just put your address and your city and your zip code. And that the city or township. So my address is Muskegon, Michigan 49445. That could be a number of places. So I would need to indicate, you need to indicate on here, Muskegon Township or City of North Muskegon. That's where the candidate lives. And what party are you running with? And this is for partisan office, though. There's a different form for nonpartisan, and a different one for qualifying petitions for people running for partisan office as a nonpartisan candidate. So if you're confused, you can call me.
How do they do that? How do they do that? Can I add to that?
The qualifying petitions that has
Independent.
Okay, I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. I don't have one of those forms, but I will tell you what the difference is. And then the office title, of course, goes in here, and then the district if there is a district. Now, when people sign this petition, they fill it out with their signature, their printed name, their address and zip code, and then the date that they signed it. When somebody circulates these petitions, the heading needs to be completed before it's circulated. They cannot be left unattended. Okay? And the circulator's certificate at the bottom, the circulator who signs it, I don't go get a couple signatures and then pass it off to Mary to get a couple signatures. They pass it off to Susie. One person circulates one petition. They don't leave it unattended, and the heading has to be filled out. They sign the circulator certificate after they're done circulating it, and all the petitions or the signatures are on there, and the date of the circulator signature needs to be after the date of any signature. It could be the same, but it can't be before. Okay, so the date that the circulator signs it needs to be the same there after as the date of the signatures that are applied. Okay, good, that makes sense. Now, a person running as a nonpartisan candidate for a partisan office would have to file qualifying petitions, and particularly for the township. I'm going to go right into that file real quick, maybe. I hope this is the one I want. There's qualifying petitions and there's nominating petitions. And this computer is really slow. And it's probably not going to be the file that I want, but there's a different number of signatures and there's a different filing deadline. Now, Carl, for Casnovia Township, for somebody running for a township office as a Republican or Democrat, they would need to file a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 10 signatures. And they would need to do that by the 15th of May by 4 o'clock. If they're running as a candidate without political affiliation, then they have to file by Tuesday, July 19th at 4 o'clock. They have to file qualifying petitions and they have to have more signatures. Let me tell you how many more. There we go. There's all the townships, their population, and their signature requirements for partisan office or petitions, and then for qualifying petitions. So instead of filing 3 to 10 signatures, they would need between 9 and 30 to file as a nonpartisan candidate for a partisan office. And those people do not get on the primary ballot. They qualify directly to the general election ballot. So they would be listed the Republican candidate, the Democratic candidate, and then the candidate with no political affiliation.
So we're going to have about 2 more minutes because we were scheduled to go from 5:30 to 7:30, and I agreed to pay overtime for the use of this room. And and I want to give you all a chance to have some questions. And if you're, this book was put together because you're the candidate, or you're working with a candidate, or you're recruiting candidates, and it's going to be your responsibility to really read and see and follow, because I think this was a wonderful opportunity to give you lots of information. and get you started, and you have 6 weeks before, almost 6 weeks before the deadline for filing, so I purposely scheduled it early, so you have plenty of time, or you could look at it, and I say that only because I want to give you questions and answers for Kim. One thing that I also want to tell you is, if you think that people aren't going to know how much you're spending, I can tell you the ones that do are your opponents. And they're the ones that come in and tell me that they counted X number of signs, or that they did this and this and this, and they're filing a complaint. So it's not the general citizen that's telling us or complaining. It's always going to be your opponent who's watching every single thing you're doing. Kim, is there anything important where you want to go over? I was 7:30.
Okay, well, I guess it is time to wrap up, and I was just trying to figure out if there's anything that I had.
And I'd just like to say, don't get discouraged thinking, wow, who would want to run with all of this?
No,
I
it
mean,
really
I see
doesn't have to be.
you're smiling. It's not that bad.
It doesn't have to be that bad.
We have 11 county commissioners. Some of them probably had never run for office before. We have lots of people that never ran for office before. We have elected officials here that I've introduced and acknowledged to you. Don't get discouraged, but this is what the law says.
Did anybody get anything out of this?
Yes.
On my budget, we talked about my budget, but I do think it's important so that when you go back and you start to think about all the things that were shared with you, the table of contents right here, you just start to go through, and then we'll invite them to come and do the next workshop
Absolutely.
in the summer.
Sure, and I didn't go over the affidavit of identity for precinct delegate, but it's basically follows the same rules as the affidavit of identity for
That's
a
in your back
candidate.
area.
Did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that I've been a precinct delegate, twice, and candidate twice, and this is the first training or the first meeting.
Okay, so you appreciate that information.
Well, I appreciate that, because when I said to the staff, this is what we need, I had little groans, but they rolled up their sleeves and said, thank you.
Did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I was just wondering with the reapportionment, do we have any new maps that have the detail for the
Okay,
streets?
for maps for the county commission districts,
Both county and state, do we have new maps?
we don't have state maps here, no. At our,
Yes, kind of.
there's a county one in your handout, and there's a textual.
That doesn't detail the streets.
It just say districts.
It tells you what precincts are in each district, and if you want more detailed information, you can get that from typically the city or township clerk, and also Tom Van Bruggen, our GIS person in the equalization office. It's number 724-6810. He has maps available for sale.
And on these maps that we put in here, we put the map of the county commissioners' districts, and then the sheet right following it lists the precincts in the cities. Because Commissioner Wilkins, I know her district has significantly changed, where when you look here at District 1, it includes the entire city of Muskegon Heights, city of Northern Shores, Precinct 1, city of Muskegon, Precincts 8 and 9. So that person that's wanting to run in District 1, she needs to go to those clerks and get those precinct information. We're saying
And
what it is, but
Just want to just remind you that the state is still working on updating all of the information in the qualified voter file and the street index. I think they had to touch over, 3 million records or something like that to make these changes that have been, put in place all over the state. And they had to do it for the whole state, not just Muskegon County, but I think that they should be just about finished. I've asked all the clerks to please make sure that they verify the information, the changes that the state made against the information that we submitted to them. They'll catch lots of mistakes and things that will need to be, done over. So I know, Ann said that they caught some things that the state missed and still needs to fix. So just bear with us while the state makes those changes.
But we do want to see all of your filings. They have to come to our office, your statement of organization. So
comment?
No, not a comment, a question. The maps that Charles was asking for, is there any chance that that would be posted on the clerk's website for the county commissions?
The county commission district map is posted on our website. And the reapportionment,
form to be able to go down into detail.
on our reapportionment site, there is a textual description, street by street, corner to corner, of the commission districts. Yeah. And then I tried to simplify that and put it in precinct number form and stuff like that, but
it's there.
But it is there, yeah, for the county commission districts. Tom Van Bruggen wrote those text descriptions.
So do you know if the state has an update of theirs?
Does the state have an update of the state house? That they should. I don't know. I know that our our districts changed. That Whitehall Township moved from the 91st to the 92nd.
And because the state rep districts now are totally in Muskegon, they do file with us rather than in Lansing.
Both districts.
Last time around, the one precinct had some of Ottawa County, so that district, that person had to file in Lansing. Now both state rep districts, those are totally in the county of Muskegon. So therefore, they do file in our office, so we'll see about trying to get those maps and put them on, since it's a totally Muskegon County entity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't forget, there is veggie.
Yeah, take some veggie pizza on your way out, please.
I was just going to say two final comments. One, you do have to get some of this. It's pretty good. I had it. And the second thing is, as Muskegon County Democratic Party Chair, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to give you the opportunity to practice signing signatures on petitions. I do happen to have Debbie Stabenow's petition here, and I also have a petition for putting on the Constitution of the State of Michigan the collective bargaining right. So if you have not signed either one of those and feel so inclined, that is available for your practice of being able to do that.
Thank you all very much for coming.